Am I the asshole for calling out someone for greeting me in Chinese? There was one day where I was walking home with my S.O. and my neighbor was outside, leaning on his car with a friend of his who I don't know. We're both Korean and as we're walking, they say, hi, to us and my neighbor's friend says, ni hao, waving at us. We're the only Asian people in our neighborhood and I got very offended, considering this happens way too often. So I stopped in my tracks and told his friend, we're both not Chinese, that's really racist and not okay, and walked away. My S.O. tried to calm the situation down and I just walked away before I got more heated. He was yelling, sorry. Sorry. As I walked away with my significant other after we got back home, my S.O. said he understood where I was coming from but it was kinda asshole the way I confronted him. So am I the asshole for confronting this person?
Not the asshole. They made an assumption you were Chinese because you're Asian. Just one of many microaggressions we face today. I'm Korean too. You weren't being rude, you didn't say anything that wasn't a fact. Lol, you too aren't Chinese, to assume you are is racist. And that is not okay.
Not the asshole. That's racist, you were right to call him out on that. Not the asshole. Glad you called this person out. I don't expect people to be able to tell people of certain Asian races apart because it definitely can be difficult. But automatically assuming every Asian is Chinese is racist, even if someone has good intentions in trying to greet someone in their native tongue. We can acknowledge that the person meant well as bring attention to the fact that their assumption was ignorant. They wouldn't realize that if you hadn't pointed it out. Lastly, if you're American, it's fucking annoying to be treated as a perpetual foreigner when you're Asian American. We are Americans just as much as anyone else here.
Not the asshole. Learn to say hello in Swedish or something and reply with that when white people try to greet you in a random Asian language.
Could have been an honest mistake, could have been thinly veiled racism. Either way, you handled it the right way. If it was a mistake, he needed to know that what he did was unacceptable so he won't repeat that mistake in the future. If he was intentionally being racist, then he needed to be told off. Not the asshole.
Not the asshole. People like this are insidious because in their minds they are being so welcoming and are oblivious to how they are assuming and making people to be other. I had 2 customers come into my HS job and try to talk me in a language I didn't speak because of my appearance, and one of them had the audacity to be angry at me for saying I didn't understand them. Ridiculous.
Not the asshole. You're literally just correct.
Not the asshole. People should greet each other in the language of the country they are in. Greetings are the first thing you learn when learning another language. When in the US you say hi, hello, good morning, etc. In France, bonjour, soir.
Not the asshole being greeted like that was casual racism on that guy's part. You were firm and to the point, not rude. Not the asshole. They needed to learn that lesson.
Not the asshole. It's ignorant and racist to say that to anyone Asian. More pissed at your boyfriend for apologizing and playing into the passive Asian stereotype. I think people say massively microaggressive stuff to Asians because they also believe in the stereotype of Asians being submissive and won't defend back. You did right.
Not the asshole, and good on you for calling out your neighbor's racist behavior.
As long as the person speaking to you was not themselves Chinese, then definitely not the asshole. Assuming you're in an English-speaking country, the polite way to address people, unless you know they speak another language, is in English, with 0 exceptions. That said, my fiancé, mixed race and very racially ambiguous, have had people address him in at least half a dozen different languages thinking that he was an immigrant from the same community. Assuming they weren't Chinese immigrants trying to make a connection, they were just being dicks, even if it was by accident. Not the asshole. Hell no. This is so not okay. Offensive and cringeworthy. Dude learned an important lesson, I hope.
You have the right to react how you felt. He doesn't own you. If he wanted to let it go, then he should be satisfied as he did what his conscience dictated. He will need to evaluate going forward if he's mature enough to be able to deal with you expressing your own mind without consulting him first. Not the asshole. Not the asshole.
Okay. It wasn't okay and you're not the asshole, but it also wasn't racist.
Info. Context and intent are very important here. If the guy was sincerely apologizing afterwards, then he probably isn't a racist and just made an honest mistake. There is nothing inherently racist with greeting someone in another language, but it could certainly be used in that way. It would have been better if you had a proper conversation with him to determine his intentions instead of immediately assuming racism.
Everyone sucks. Yeah, the guy is kinda ignorant, but he's trying to be polite to you. Accusing the guy of racism is just too far. Most people outside of Asia have no idea of the differences between the various Asian countries and made an ignorant but reasonable assumption. If you met a random Asian person, it's a good chance they're Chinese because Chinese makes up about 1/7 of the world's population. You are the asshole. Yes, it's annoying, you have my sympathy for that. But, please, educate yourself on the difference between racism, treating someone as lesser based on their ethnicity, and ignorance, failure to distinguish nationality. Race, ethnicity is not the same thing as nationality. It is not a microaggression to make a mistake. Nor is such ignorance restricted to any ethnicity. I've spent the last decade or so replying to the question, what part of Scotland, Ireland, Australia, South Africa are you from, with the part that's in England.
Everyone sucks. Hereth guy for assuming you were Chinese and you for overreacting. I don't see any malice in this interaction. It seems more like the guy was just a bit dumb and ignorant. Would it have hurt you to be kind? Couldn't you just have said, hey, we are actually Korean, please don't assume like that, I find it offensive. My boyfriend looks very Mexican, though he is Portuguese, and often people will speak Spanish to him. 99% of the time if you take the time to just explain nicely, they will apologize and everyone walks away happy.
You are the asshole. It appears he was trying to be friendly, and you attacked him because it's happened way too often before. Has he done it before? You had a chance to educate someone, and it's everyone's job to educate people. That's actually how we'll get rid of racism. You could have opened his mind to a bias he didn't realize he had, but instead you were rude.
There are now 5 categories for data on race: American Indian or Alaska Native, Asian, Black or African American, Native Hawaiian or other Pacific Islander, White. He wasn't being racist. He thought you belonged to a certain ethnic group. He was wrong. Inform him. I don't believe he had any ill will towards you.
Nah. By the fact that you were hostile to what could have been an honest mistake. You don't say he said it patronizingly, he just greeted you. You could have been understanding and calmly explained while you appreciate the thought you aren't Chinese. Inform when you can, and if it is racist? Then you'll definitely know once you try to explain. Then be hostile if you choose to be. I hate to tell you that a lot of people have a hard time telling people of different Asian descent apart by glancing. Alienating your neighbor and or other people in your community over what could have been an innocent mistake is just as ignorant as what you accused him of. Not everyone is racist. Sometimes people want to be open and try to do that by learning and trying to apply what they learn. I agree with the correction, I just think the aggression was unwarranted in this particular situation. You are the asshole. I'm sorry, I'm not racist, but Chinese and Japanese people lul very similar. I know where you're coming from, but considering it was, I assume, quite a distance away paired with my previous statement, it was clearly an honest mistake, so yeah, you kinda are the arsehole here.